nigga. Shut that nigga out. Shut that nigga out. Get out of here. Shut that nigga out, bro. Shut that nigga out, bro. Yeah, nigga. You killed my motherfucking nephew.
A father stands inside a courthouse, staring at the man accused of killing his 16-year-old son. Seconds later, he explodes. Punches, kicks, chaos in a place meant for justice. But here's the real question. What kind of pain pushes a father to risk jail time inside a courtroom just to get his hands on the man accused of murder? Tonight, we're talking about the death of 16-year-old Jamariyae Dixon, a high school honor student and football player whose life ended in gunfire on May 23, 2025, in Charlotte, North Carolina. He was just a teenager, a son who sent his mother Happy Mother's Day texts every year, a young athlete with a future, and in one moment, he was gone. Police say Marion McKnight shot and killed Jamariyae. 2 others were shot that same day. One of them, Nazyr Perry, survived, but was left paralyzed from the waist down. McKnight was later charged with first-degree murder and attempted murder. But then something happened that shocked Jamariya's family even more than the arrest. He was granted bond. That decision set the stage for a face-to-face encounter inside the Mecklenburg County Courthouse, an encounter that would go viral across the country. Jamariyae's father, Shaheem Snype, saw the man accused of killing his son, and he attacked him. Now the grieving father faces a misdemeanor assault charge. Some people call him wrong, others call him a hero. But this story is bigger than one courtroom fight. It's about a 16-year-old whose life was cut short. It's about another teenager who survived but must now live with paralysis. It's about a mother who says she hasn't truly smiled since her son died, until she saw that courthouse video. And it's about a justice system that many people believe failed a family already drowning in grief. Before we break this down piece by piece, who Jamariyae was, what really happened on May 23rd, the bond decision that caused outrage, and the emotional courtroom confrontation, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. If you care about real stories, real victims, and real accountability, make sure you're subscribed right now. We post detailed true crime cases that go beyond headlines and give you the full picture. And I want to ask you something before we continue. If you came face to face with the person accused of killing your child, what would you do? Would you trust the system, or would emotion take over? Stay with me, because what led up to that courthouse moment is something you need to hear. Now, let's start at the beginning, with who Jamariyae Dixon really was before his name became a headline, before there were court dates, before there were charges, before that courthouse attack went viral. There was just a 16-year-old boy named Jamariyae Dixon. And if we're going to understand the weight of what happened, we have to start with who he was, not just how he died. Jamariyae lived in Charlotte, North Carolina. To the outside world, he may have seemed like any other teenager, but to his family, he was everything. He was an honor student. He was a football player. He was a son who remembered the small things. His mother, Lynette Dixon, shared something simple but powerful. Every year, without fail, Jamariyae sent her messages on special days, Mother's Day, birthdays, Valentine's Day. Those small texts meant something. They were reminders that her son was thoughtful, present, loving. Now she says she doesn't get those messages anymore, and that silence speaks louder than anything. Jamariyae was not reported to have children. He was only 16, still in high school, still building his future, still figuring out life. But from everything shared publicly, he was on a steady path, balancing academics and athletics, staying connected to family, moving forward like any young man with goals. His father, Shaheem Snype, was actively involved in his life. Their bond would later become central to this story, a father and son connection. protective, proud, deeply personal. Jamariyae's aunt, Susan Sherrill, also spoke publicly after his death. That tells you something. This wasn't a distant family. This was a tight circle. When one person was hurt, everyone felt it. And that's important, because when tragedy hit, it didn't just take one life. It shattered a family unit. Think about this for a second. At 16 years old, most teens are thinking about prom, football games, college plans, summer break. Jamariyae was at that stage, balancing school and sports, building memories. But on May 23, 2025, that future stopped. In true crime, we often rush straight to the violence, the gunshots, the arrest, the courtroom drama. But here's what I want you to remember as we move forward. Jamariyae Dixon was not just a headline. He was a teenager who sent his mom holiday texts. He was an athlete who showed up to practice. He was a student earning good grades. And the reason that courthouse confrontation became so explosive, the reason emotions boiled over, is because the loss wasn't abstract. It was personal, very personal. If you believe victims deserve to be remembered for who they were, not just how they died, make sure you're subscribed right now. That's what we do here. We tell the full story. We honor the human side, not just the crime scene. Because as we move into what happened on May 23rd, you're going to see how quickly one day changed everything. And you're also going to meet another young man whose life was permanently altered in the same incident. One lost his life. One lost the ability to walk. And the man accused of pulling the trigger says he was defending himself. So what really happened that day? Let's break down the shooting, step by step. May 23rd, 2025. What started as a normal day in Charlotte ended in gunfire. Somewhere in the city, a confrontation unfolded. Within moments, shots were fired. When the chaos stopped, 3 people had been hit. One of them was 16-year-old Jamariyae Dixon. He did not survive. Another was a teenager named Nazyr Perry. He did, but survival came at a cost no 16-year-old should ever face. Police later arrested Marion McKnight and charged him with first-degree murder in Jamariyae's death. He was also charged with 2 counts of attempted murder for the others who were shot. First-degree murder is not a light charge. It signals intent. It signals that prosecutors believe this was not an accident. But here is where the case becomes complicated. According to McKnight's attorney, multiple videos captured what happened that day. There were also statements from independent witnesses. The defense claims those materials show McKnight acting in self-defense. That is a powerful legal argument. Self-defense can change everything in a courtroom. But for Jamariyae's family, there is one fact that overrides every argument. Their son is gone. Nazyr Perry's story adds another layer to the tragedy. His mother, Nazyr Perry, later shared what her son endured. She said he was shot through his main jugular. He lost his life twice and had to be brought back. When he woke up, he could not move from the waist down. Paralyzed. Imagine being a teenager and waking up to a life that will now include wheelchairs, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and constant medical appointments. Talitha said something that stays with you. I relive it every day. I cry every night. For her, survival is both a blessing and a daily reminder. Now pause here. In one incident, one teen lost his life. One teen lost mobility. Another person was also shot. Multiple families were left grieving or adjusting to a new reality. And the man accused of firing those shots says he was defending himself. That tension between grief and legal defense is what drives this case forward, because the truth will ultimately be decided in court. But public opinion formed almost immediately. And then came the bond decision. Despite the severity of the charges, a Superior Court judge granted Marion McKnight a $100,000 bond. His attorney later stated that the judge reviewed videos of the May 23rd incident and statements from witnesses before making that decision. Bond does not mean innocent. It does not mean guilty either. It simply means the court allowed the accused to remain free while awaiting trial under certain conditions. But for Jamariyae's family, Bond felt like something else. It felt like the system was giving the accused a second chance at freedom while their son had none. Prosecutors later moved to revoke McKnight's bond, arguing that he violated travel and social media restrictions tied to his release. That motion would lead to another court hearing, and that hearing would lead to a moment no one expected. Before we get there, I want you to think about something. If you were a parent who lost your child in a shooting, and the person accused of pulling the trigger was walking free on bond, how would you feel? Would you be able to sit calmly in a courtroom, or would every emotion you've been holding back come rushing out? Drop your thoughts in the comments. But keep it respectful. This case is still active and real families are living through it. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe right now. We don't rush through stories. We break them down carefully so you understand every angle, the legal side, the emotional side, and the human cost. Because what happened next inside the Mecklenburg County Courthouse would push this case from local tragedy to national headlines. A grieving father, an accused killer, one hallway, and years of pain exploding in seconds. The courtroom is supposed to be controlled, quiet, orderly. It's where arguments are made with words, not fists. But on that day inside the Mecklenburg County Courthouse in Charlotte, control broke down. Jamariyae's father, Shaheem Snype, came to court for a bond-related hearing involving the man accused of killing his son, Marion McKnight. Prosecutors were seeking to revoke McKnight's bond. They argued he violated the conditions tied to his release, including travel and social media restrictions. This hearing wasn't about guilt or innocence yet. It was about whether the accused should remain free while awaiting trial. But before that hearing could even move forward, something happened in a courthouse hallway that no one could ignore. Snype and McKnight crossed paths, and in seconds, emotion took over. Video obtained by Queen City News shows Snype attacking McKnight, punching and kicking him repeatedly. It wasn't a small scuffle. It was intense. It was raw. And it happened in a building meant to represent justice. Security eventually intervened. McKnight was taken to the hospital. Snype was charged with misdemeanor assault. Just like that, the father of a murdered teen was now facing his own criminal charge. But what happened next is what pushed this case into national headlines. Jamariyae's aunt, Susan Sherrill, defended Snype's actions publicly. He did what he had to do as a father, she said. Any father would have did the same thing. We're still grieving. For her, the moment wasn't about law, it was about loss. Jamariyae's mother, Lynette Dixon, wasn't inside the courthouse when it happened. But when she saw the video later, she said something that shocked many viewers. My face smiled. I smiled. That was the first time I had a real smile since my son been gone. That statement alone shows how deep the pain runs. For months, she had carried grief. And in that brief moment of confrontation, she felt something. Maybe release, maybe validation, maybe just raw emotion. But not everyone saw it that way. Marion McKnight's attorney, Michael Kabakoff, released a strong statement. He called it the most violent assault he had seen inside a courthouse in his 22 years as a lawyer. He said that while any parent can sympathize with the intense grief of losing a child, violence inside a courtroom is unacceptable. He also maintained that McKnight's bond conditions were set after careful review of videos and witness statements. According to the defense, those materials support their claim that McKnight was acting in self-defense during the May 23rd shooting. So now the narrative becomes layered. On one side, a grieving father who attacked the accused killer of his son. On the other, a defendant claiming self-defense and now recovering from a courthouse assault. And in the middle, a legal system trying to process both events. Nazyr Perry, whose son Nazyr survived the shooting but was left paralyzed, also reacted to the courthouse attack. She said it put smiles on all of our faces. For families living with permanent loss or life-changing injuries, that hallway moment felt personal. But here's the hard truth. That attack does not bring Jamariyae back. It does not heal Nazyr's injuries, and it does not decide the outcome of the murder case. It only adds another charge, another layer, another complication. Now pause and think about this. Grief can feel overwhelming. Anger can feel justified. But when emotion crosses into violence, the legal consequences are real. Snype now faces a misdemeanor assault charge, and the bond hearing for McKnight had to be rescheduled. The focus shifted, at least temporarily, from the original shooting to the courthouse confrontation, and that's where this story forces us to confront something uncomfortable. What does justice look like when emotions are this intense? Is it possible for families to sit quietly while someone accused of killing their child stands just feet away? Or does the system expect something almost impossible from grieving parents? Before we move into the legal implications and what happens next in this case, I want to hear from you. Do you believe Shaheem Snype crossed a line, or do you understand his reaction? Keep your responses respectful. Real families are living this every day. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Because we're going to break down the legal battle ahead, the self-defense claim, the bond controversy, and what could ultimately determine how this case ends. The courtroom hallway may have gone quiet again, but the real fight is still ahead. Now that the courthouse hallway has gone quiet, the real battle moves back to where it was always headed, the courtroom. Because at the center of this entire case is one question: was this murder, or was it self-defense? Marion McKnight is charged with first-degree murder in the death of 16-year-old Jamariyae Dixon, along with attempted murder for the shooting of Nazyr Perry and another victim. First-degree murder carries serious weight. It suggests intent. It suggests that prosecutors believe this was not just a heated moment, but a deliberate act. But the defense is pushing back. McKnight's attorney has stated that multiple videos from the May 23, 2025 incident, along with independent witness statements, show that McKnight was exercising his legal right to defend himself. That claim changes everything. Because in a courtroom, self-defense is not about emotion. It's about evidence. To successfully argue self-defense, the defense typically must show that the accused believed they were in immediate danger of serious harm and used force they believed was necessary at that moment. That will likely become the central issue at trial. What do the videos show? What do the witnesses say? Was Jamariyae the aggressor, as the defense may argue? Or was he the victim of unlawful gunfire, as prosecutors contend? Those answers will not be decided in the media. They will be decided in court. But before the trial even begins, the bond controversy continues to fuel public frustration. After his arrest, McKnight was granted a $100,000 bond by a superior court judge. His attorney emphasized that the judge carefully reviewed videos and witness statements before setting those bond conditions. Still, Jamariyae's family believes bond should never have been granted. From their perspective, someone accused of killing a teenager should not be free while waiting for trial. Then came the motion to revoke bond. Prosecutors argued that McKnight violated the travel and social media restrictions set by the court. So that's what led to the hearing where Shaheem Snype encountered him and attacked him. That hearing was rescheduled, and so the case continues to move forward in stages. Meanwhile, real life does not pause for legal timelines. Lynette Dixon wakes up every day without her son. No more holiday texts, no more football games, no more late-night conversations. Talitha Perry continues taking her son Nazyr to doctor appointments, physical therapy, occupational therapy, nurse visits, a routine that now defines their life. She said something that reflects the ongoing trauma. Our life is just drastically changed, and that's what makes this case so heavy. The legal system moves step by step, but grief moves differently. It doesn't wait for verdicts. It doesn't pause for hearings. It stays. Now here's where this story becomes bigger than just one shooting. This case raises questions many communities are asking. Should bond be granted in serious violent crime cases? How does the court balance the presumption of innocence with community safety? What happens when video evidence supports two completely different narratives? And what happens when grief spills over into violence inside a courthouse? Because now this case carries two parallel legal tracks: the murder and attempted murder charges against Marion McKnight, the misdemeanor assault charge against Jamariyae's father, Shaheem Snype. Two separate cases, connected by one moment of gunfire. As this moves toward trial, jurors will eventually have to look beyond emotion. They will have to examine facts. They will have to decide whether self-defense applies. They will have to determine accountability. And no matter what verdict comes, one truth will not change. A 16-year-old is gone. Another teenager is paralyzed. Two families are living in permanent aftershocks. Before we move to where we summarize everything and talk about what this case teaches us, I want you to pause and think about something. Justice is not always simple, it's not always fast, and it rarely feels complete to everyone involved. If you've been following this story closely, make sure you're subscribed right now. We're going to bring everything together: the life of Jamariyae Dixon, the shooting, the courthouse confrontation, and the larger lessons about conflict, accountability, and prevention. Because this story isn't just about what happened, it's about what it means. When you strip away the headlines, when you mute the courtroom arguments, when you turn off the viral courthouse video, what's left? A 16-year-old boy who should still be alive. Jamariyae Dixon was not just a case number. He was not just a trending story. He was not just the victim. He was a son who remembered Mother's Day, an honor student balancing school and football, a teenager still building his future. On May 23, 2025, gunfire ended that future. In the same incident, Nazyr Perry was shot and left paralyzed from the waist down. His survival is nothing short of a miracle, but it came with lifelong consequences. Hospital visits, therapy, a new way of living. Then came the arrest. Marion McKnight was charged with first-degree murder and attempted murder. His defense says he acted in self-defense, or prosecutors say it was intentional. That question, murder or self-defense, will ultimately be answered in court. But the emotional impact? That has already been decided. It shows in Lynette Dixon's voice when she says she no longer gets birthday texts from her son. It shows in Talitha Perry's words when she says she relives that day every night. It shows in Shaheem Snype's actions inside that courthouse hallway. A father overwhelmed by grief, confronting the man accused of killing his child. Some people called him wrong, some people called him a hero. But perhaps the deeper truth is this: grief does not always behave quietly. Pain does not always sit still in a courtroom chair. And when justice feels delayed or uncertain, emotions can overflow. Still, violence inside a courthouse does not bring healing. It does not bring closure. It does not bring Jamariyae back. And that may be the hardest part of all. This case forces us to sit with uncomfortable realities. How quickly conflict can turn deadly. How one moment can permanently change multiple families. How the legal system must balance evidence, emotion, and fairness. and how communities are left trying to make sense of it all. So what can we take away from this? First, conflict escalates fast. Words turn into threats, threats turn into actions, and actions cannot be undone. Access to firearms in heated moments can transform an argument into a tragedy in seconds. Grief is powerful. It needs support. It needs outlets. Because without support, pain can spill over in ways that create even more legal trouble. And finally, behind every true crime story is a human life that mattered. Jamariyae mattered. Nazyr matters. Their families matter. And as this case continues through the courts, the outcome will shape more than just legal records. It will shape how this community remembers what happened. Before we close, I want to ask you something personal. When you hear stories like this, does it change how you see conflict in your own life? Does it make you think twice about how quickly anger can rise? Because sometimes the biggest lessons from true crime are not about fear, they're about awareness. They're about understanding how fragile life really is. If you believe stories like this deserve to be told with respect, if you believe victims deserve to be remembered for who they were, if you want deep, detailed breakdowns that go beyond headlines, make sure you subscribe right now. We don't chase drama here. We tell the full story, and we honor the people at the center of it. As this case moves forward, we will continue to follow updates, court decisions, and the trial outcome. So turn on your notifications so you don't miss what happens next. Because justice takes time, but memory lasts forever. Jamariyae Dixon was 16 years old, and no matter what any courtroom decides, he should still be here,